Hello, I'm Coach Michael, former world number 2 and coach of champions. Now today we're going to be talking about peep sights, or rear sights to give them their technical term. These can make or break your day because they affect how you see the target. If your peep is too small, the target is going to be dark, you might not be able to see your aiming dot, and basically your brain isn't going to be able to respond fast enough to keep your sight on the target. But if your peep is too big, it's just this big bucket you're looking through and your scope is getting lost in this big hole that you're looking through, okay? So it's a balancing act, like so many things in our sport. So for some of you who may be new to peep sights or new to archery, you might not appreciate how much difference there can be. For example, this is the same company making the same peep, but their largest size looks like this, and their smallest size looks like this. And I can tell you the view of your scope or sight pin is totally different depending on which one of these you have. Generally, when we're outside, the light is fairly good, fairly bright, so we can go for a smaller peep, which will have the benefit of making the target a little bit clearer. So just to be clear, the smaller the peep, the clearer the target, but also the darker the target. So that's the balancing act we're trying to play. If we go too small, it's too dark. If we go too big, it's too blurred, and lining up your scope and your peep to get them together ends up being a bit difficult. So generally outside, we can go for a smaller peep, and we can get, normally I try and work for a size where the scope and the hole through the peep are the same size. So naturally, if I can see my scope, I can naturally see that it's lined up in the middle of my peep. Because if I have too big a hole in my peep, and on one shot the scope is on one side of the peep hole, and on the next shot it's on the other, those arrows will go left and right in the target. So if we have them that the hole in the peep is close to the looking like the size of my scope, that's normally a good match to get the best accuracy. Now when we go indoors, that's when things change. Often, most competitions indoors don't have the best lights. Some do. More and more competitions nowadays are having ground lights and extra lights per target. But generally speaking, when myself or my top athletes go indoors, we often need to put a bigger peep in with a bigger hole so that we can get enough light so we can see how to aim. Because if you can't really get enough light back to aim, that will affect your score more than anything else. So being able to see the target and your aiming dot and aim well is more important than having a perfectly aligned hole in the peep and scope. So you'll go for a bigger hole. So yes, you've got to make sure you put your scope in the middle of that peep hole, but being able to get that light into your eyes, being able to see the target, your brain being able to see, oh, we're a little bit left, we're a little bit right, and being able to correct for it, that is by far the most important thing. Now, I'm fully aware this next comment might upset a few people, but for me personally and the students I've coached, peep lenses, so these are little tiny lenses that are inside your peep to make your sight look more clear. Peep lenses, I've never known them to improve someone's accuracy, but I've known them to cause problems. So as a rule of thumb, I don't recommend any of my students to use them. Okay, so the problems I have is when it's raining and there's any moisture on there, you've then got a peep that can get water on and a scope that can get water on. It can be really hard to keep it clean and keep it clear when you're competing. And too often I've had athletes both indoors and outdoors say they can see a reflection on the peep. So either the light at the target, the light above, the light is reflecting off that peep lens and causing an issue, which obviously makes shooting really difficult. Now, yes, they're a little bit more expensive to buy these lenses, and that's why most people assume they must be better. It's more money, more points. But honestly, in 20 years of world-class performance, I really personally haven't ever found them necessary, and shooting without saves you a bit of money and it keeps the system a little bit simpler. Now, some people like having a clear target. But so often when I start coaching athletes and I talk to them, it's actually because they believe, they've been told that having a clearer target means they're going to shoot better. But often by removing the lens, maybe the target isn't quite as clear. They can actually find they shoot better because they're not quite so stressed about whether the sight is exactly in the middle of the tent. But it's a personal thing, but personally, I've never found the need. So now that we've established the difference in the sizes and that you don't need a lens, in my opinion, next is what model should you have? So the first one I recommend is the Trophy Ridge True Peep. This Peep has been around for decades. It was the first Peep I ever had way back in the 1990s. It's still super popular, super successful now. It's under $10 and really it's the benchmark, the foundation, really good solid Peep. Comes in many different sizes, as you can see here, and colors. Most suppliers only stock the black. There's many sizes. Most of the time for target archery, the 1/16 size or the 1/32, they generally tend to work out, but of course you need to try to see which one works for you and where you're wanting to shoot. And remember though, you need a bow press to fit these. So your local archery shop, they can fit them for you, or maybe your club coach can help you, because these need a bow press to set them up and make sure they're in the right position for you to shoot. But the Trophy Ridge True Peep is a really great piece of kit for under $10. My next favorite Peep that's a little bit more fancy is the Specialty Archery. Let me check here. Specialty Archery Pro Series Hooded Peep. Now this comes in two different angles. It comes in a, let me check again, 37-degree angle for bows under 40 inches in axle length. And it comes in a 40-degree for bows of 40 inches or longer. So just be careful when you're ordering there. They come in a range of colors that look absolutely beautiful. And because the aperture, the insert, the changeable insert, so you can keep the Peep in the bow and then you can change the aperture, change the size of the hole without having to go visit your pro shop. And because the apertures are black, they give you a good vision of the target, and it leaves you free to have the hood any color you want. And you can see they'd have a great range of colors. You can make the Peep match your bow. It's a really nice little personalized touch. And they have a wonderful kit available. So you've got 5 different holes to choose from. So you can literally get to the competition, and even before maybe you start, you can sneakily draw up your bow, look at the target, see how clear the target is. This is if you're indoors and you're not sure about the lighting. So you can make the most of every single day shooting, because you can change the Peep so quickly and go so simply. This Peep is around $25 for the housing, and then another $40 for a nice box with the 5 different apertures in. Really, for a serious archer who wants to make the most of every day, I really do recommend these. It's a great way to make sure you're not stuck struggling with a target you can see. And because it's always screws in centrally, even if you get halfway through the tournament and you've decided, no, this is a little bit too dark, you can just screw it in, screw it out, screw the new one in. It's no problem. It's not really going to change your sight. It's most of the time, as long as everything is lined up central, you're okay to change your Peep halfway through a shoot, okay? I hope you find this useful. If anyone has any questions, just put them in the comments and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And if anyone is interested in any online one-to-one coaching with myself, the link is in the description to book a session. Doesn't matter whether you're a club archer or someone who's trying to be world champion, I'd like to think I've got something to offer. Okay, good training, talk soon.